Welcome, listeners. We read the number one pick in the category Mystery and Thriller on Goodreads. With 82,684 votes, The God of the Woods. The God of the Woods beat other notable books in the running, such as The Boyfriend by
Freedom McFadden.
with 57,000 votes, and also First Lie Wins by...
Ashley Elston.
Oh, wow, well done. With 74,000 votes. So God of the Woods by Liz Moore, for lack of a better term, spanked the competition. There was no contest. It was like Usyk and Tyson all over again. But I thought the book was terrible. Maybe it's time I hang up my book reviewing career. How can so many people love a book that I absolutely hated? I honestly think it's the worst book that we've read. The worst.
No, that's...
Am I being too harsh?
No, you're...
Pause this video right now. Go and read The God of the Woods by
Liz Moore. And when you've read it, you can join us for the discussion.
Or you can join us anyway, because I'm going to tell you all about it. My name is Elijah.
And I'm Joseph, and welcome to the Aisha Library. Very harsh.
I think it was the worst book we've read.
Really think
I would
so?
read The Mother Son over this.
That's insane.
I thought the book was terrible.
Name of the Rose?
I thought the book... I would...
Let's just disqualify that as
Yeah, because the book was terrible, but I'm never reading that again. But yeah.
Yeah.
This is the worst book we read. I thought it was so boring. I thought the book was painful to get through. Not because of what happened to Bear. I didn't give a fuck about him. What kind of name is that anyway? Bear.
That's insane.
It's almost ironic. What kind of bear can't survive in the woods? Oh, dude. The book was painfully slow and boring. There were very small parts of the book that had some interesting character building, such as the upper class family would have regular gatherings and play word games. It was almost like we got to see the other side. And also Alice and her husband's mechanical relationship. The book also did have infidelity, my favourite. But if not for this review channel, I would have put this book down very, very quickly, and I wouldn't have got past 20%.
Same. I wouldn't have read to the end to figure out what I thought of the book, to be honest, because it was just wasn't my cup of tea. I definitely think it's harsh for you to say it's the worst.
I don't think so. What's worse than that? You think Mother Son is worse?
Easily.
Okay,
easily.
cool.
Mother Son was shocking.
I would rather read that again though than this. This was just boring, and it was just it was boring. It was boring.
It was written in Japanese.
Yeah. So what do you think? Like, spoiler free.
Yeah, I thought it was a load of. It was a 4-hour book that they made a 12-hour book.
Yeah, it was extra long. It was actually extra long as well. There was
a 4-hour book. That was a 12-hour book. As like your favorite criticism, there was too many characters.
That's an understatement. That's
definitely an understatement. There were so many characters. There was characters with the same name. There was 2 characters with the same name. There was Peter 2 and Peter 3. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I did.
There was the husband Peter and then the grandfather Peter. And I was like, there's 2 Peter. Like in one of the first ones, there was like, I'm here to see Peter. And there was like, Peter, the son or the father. And I was just like, you're just making this for no reason. Like, you don't need to make them have the same name, you know?
It was just, I guess it was an upper class thing.
It's an upper class thing.
But when you've got loads of characters, you don't need that, man.
You definitely don't need that.
You don't need to be doing that.
You definitely don't need that. Come on, man. And yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't like the name Bear at all. I just felt like, who's calling their child Bear?
I mean, apart from the one and only Bear Grylls.
Yeah, of course. But is that even his real name? No one knows. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume so. But yeah, do you want to start since you...
That definitely wasn't spoiler free, but... but
Bear
yeah,
dies.
Yeah. That was in both of our spoiler free
Yeah, that's
reviews.
true. Yeah, that's true, actually.
What happened to Barbara? The God of the Woods opens with the overnight disappearance of Barbara, a teenage girl at a summer camp. The camp's counselor, Louise, who was meant to be watching the kids, was busy getting drunk and left the senior camper, Annabelle, in charge instead. And guess what Annabelle was doing? Getting drunk. This is exactly why people shouldn't drink. On a serious note, that is an incredible lack of competence. How on earth do you tell the parents that their daughter went missing unnoticed because all the responsible adults were busy getting blasted?
It's fair. It's quite realistic, though.
It's realistic, but it's like, how do you have that conversation where you're literally like, not only is your daughter missing,
I think
no one knows
omits that piece of information.
Oh, well, you'd have to.
It's not going to help.
No,
it's definitely not going to help.
Nobody knows where your daughter went. Nobody even knows when she left because we were blasted on our ears. It's insane. And it was like Louise had this moment where she was like, Annabelle was there crying when she was like trying to make her tell her, was you getting drunk last night? And Louise was like, I don't know why you're scared to tell me, because nothing's going to happen to you. You're 17. Nothing's going to happen to you. They're going to send you back to your parents. Me, I'm going to prison.
Yeah.
Prison. So it was definitely like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed like the kind of
Book.
No. Whoa. But like that moment, I definitely enjoyed
Yeah,
it because
there was some scenes that I think in the whole. We'll get to it. I'm gonna ruin my notes. I'm not being funny or anything, but I've been listening to this book for maybe 2 hours now, and nothing's happening. Not to mention that we've time skipped back and forth between years, so I haven't got a clue what's going on.
Of course.
We would skip from 1950, then back to 1970s. We'd skip before Bear was missing, then we'd skip to after Barbara was missing. Not to mention we're skipping around in different people's stories at the same time. There are like 7 point of views. Why? The book was so boring. It was like setting up 7 cameras with different angles to watch paint dry.
In different time zones.
In different times of different...
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
What
It's ridiculous.
was that?
I always complain about time skips, but this one
This took the cake.
This
Took the piss.
This
That's
sounds
what
like
it
the
did.
one I've always been complaining about.
This was all over the place.
All over the shop.
1950s, 1970s. Like, what?
Don't forget, 85,000 people said this is like the best book, like whatever. So this is the issue I always have with these fiction books that we do. I'm like, am I broken? Am I weird? Do I just not enjoy things? Because
if they had said First Light Wins is the best book, I'd have said, nah, maybe that is the better book in the category. Cool. But this book, God of the Woods,
What We Solve Murders.
this book, God of the Woods, it beat The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden, which I thought was quite a good book. Actually,
I told Chloe to read that because I enjoyed
it's
it.
quite a good book, and it beat First Light Wins, which was a decent book. First Light Wins was a decent book.
Both better than this, easily.
So, I don't know.
You lot that's broken.
I don't
Must
know.
be. It
I don't
must
know what's going on, mate.
I didn't read the blurb for this book, but I feel deeply misled. God of the Woods sounds like some kind of fantasy novel including various mythical creatures, maybe some kind of powerful nature spirit that inhabits a magical forest. Instead, we have a mystery/crime thriller around the disappearance of Barbara Van Laar, a 13-year-old girl, and the juxtaposition of her older brother Bear's disappearance 14 years ago. Not that I'm disappointed, I can see numerous interesting ways that the author will probably not take this. Maybe there could be a deranged serial killer hunting down the Van Laars. Maybe Bear ran away instead of disappearing. Maybe Bear is the serial killer hunting down his family. Time skips and flashbacks really do seem to be the flavour of the month, so I'm going to do our 2 viewers a favour and stop whining about them now. This will be the last time I complain about a time skip or a flashback. Until the next time. Honestly, I'm never going to stop complaining about it. But in all seriousness, this was the book that took the biscuit.
So 2
it was
things
the
I
straw that
want
broke
to
the
talk
camel's
about
back.
what you said. One, you really went in blind, didn't you? I mean,
Nah, definitely.
God of the Woods thinking it's some form of mythical whatnot.
I heard God of the Woods. I think.
Yeah. This was not.
No,
that.
it was not.
2, why was it called God of the Woods?
God of the Woods as well. Why is it called God of the Woods? Like Woods, cool. Why was God in there?
What was that about?
Liz, please.
As I was reading the book, I thought, this book is trash! Nothing's happening. The only part that is of any interest is Jacob, the mass murderer on loose. We
Jacob
basically haven't seen any of him.
Yeah.
Why didn't the author give us some action and show us his prison escape, for example? In Jacob's very short point of view, we see him going through the woods and living off the land, and it comes to the point where he begins to stalk a girl who's lost in the woods. The girl, we believe the girl to be Barbara. And actually, at that point, I was on the edge of my seat. You know when you're watching David Attenborough and there's a leopard creeping up close to a gazelle or something like that? That's what it felt like. And then the point of view changed, which was obviously purposely anticlimactic, right? So that part was good, but we didn't see nothing else from him for the rest of the... Actually, no, he decided to divulge secrets and turn into some good guy for absolutely no reason at all
whatsoever.
But yeah, talking about David Attenborough, do you ever root for the gazelle?
It's very, very, very funny that you should say this because I was talking to my dad about this morning.
Really?
Literally, I was talking about nature shows this morning.
Well, I wrote this for days ago. Remember?
That's insane. Insane level of coincidence. But I was like, it's important to show children nature shows so that they can see the dilemma, so that they can experience dilemma because they're like, if the gazelle gets away, the lion and its cubs starve to death. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's important for children to see those kind
I
of
had a
nature
question
shows.
of the day that was surrounded by that, but I think just speaking to you, I'm tweaking the question of the day a little
What was
bit.
it?
So my question, I'm going to give you the question of the day, but then I'm going to add in what you kind of influenced me. So question of the day: if you watched a nature documentary with your partner and they got super into the leopards killing the gazelle and they were cheering, would you think that's a red flag? Let's say they were acting in a manner as if you would if Manchester United won the Champions League.
Yeah, that's a different level. That's a different level. Yeah, that's a red flag.
That's a red flag.
That's a red flag.
Or on the flip side, imagine if your girl said, "Why aren't you sad? You're a horrible person," started crying because you're not cheering for the gazelle. Like, let's just say you're watching it with impunity.
What she's like, why aren't you crying? Because the gazelle died.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of thing.
Is that a red flag too?
That's less of a red flag than the other one, but it is a red flag, and it probably should be. People should take that very, very seriously. If your girl's like, "Why aren't you crying?" sort of thing, like, people should take that very, very seriously. But if your girl's like, "Yeah," because the Lion won, I'm like, "Yo, I'm sleeping like this."
So
Sleep with one eye.
what you kind of made me think is, what if it wasn't your girl, but it was your child?
That's even worse. That's worse.
That's even worse.
Because
Let's say
you
they
have
were like 5 or 6.
you have responsibility to attend to this.
What if they're like 5 or 6
Jesus.
and all they want to watch is nature shows and all they want to watch is the lions grabbing the
When the gazelle gets away, they're like, "No."
yes, you fucking get him.
Oh God, they're gritting their teeth as well.
Would you
Jesus.
think, all right, no more nature shows.
You have to say no more nature shows. You have to act. Action is never gonna be. If you act and it ends up bad, you can be like, at least I took action,
but
innit?
if you do nothing, are you culpable?
Of course.
If you say, it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Sugar out of it.
Yeah.
But
of
are
course.
you kind of, is there any way that you're entitled to do or say that?
Listen,
That's
you could
fine.
say, if I just let it run its course, it could be fine, and it could actually be fine.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Is that irresponsible?
Yeah, definitely.
Actually irresponsible.
Inaction is always irresponsible.
I think when they kill their first pet, that's where you
Massive when they kill their first pet. Wasn't you the one that said the question of the day when it was like, when the child massacres like the 40 pets or whatever, rips their paws off or whatever?
What did I
I was
say?
like, you was like,
Yeah,
what if your son like rips their paws off or whatever? I was like, Jesus Christ, nah. I'm not waiting for that.
Yeah.
Beat your children, please, please. I'm begging.
We don't condone. But yes, it is your turn.
Probably too many characters, and I really don't care for Barbara's storyline much. The meat and potatoes of the story is Bear and the cover-up of his death. Involved in this is Vic Hewitt, the camp director, Carl the gardener, accused of his murder, Jacob Slitter, a convicted serial killer. Later, we find out that Alice, Bear's mother, and both his father and grandfather, both called Peter, were also involved.
Not the mum though. The mum wasn't involved.
She-
Yeah, the mum wasn't involved. They hid it from the mum because they thought that the mum wouldn't be able to handle it.
No, she wasn't involved in the cover-up. She was involved in the death. Is what I'm saying.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
she wasn't involved in the cover-up.
She wasn't even really involved in the death.
She was sort of.
She would feel like she was. But
She was-
She
yeah.
kind of was.
She
no,
wasn't involved in the cover-up, but
She definitely was involved in the
a crime mystery novel about the death of a child and a cover-up. I don't hate that. As with most stories that have flashbacks, it's usually the then part of the story that I find the most compelling, as opposed to the now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even the now because it was 75, innit? Flipping back and forth between them, between then and now, just feels like a way to turn a 6-hour book into a 12-hour book. Like, when we see these books on Audible and it's like, 12 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours, we read them and we're like, it didn't have to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't have to be what it
10
was.
hours is the perfect amount of time
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
10 hours, perfect. And that works
This
out to be
didn't have to-
450 pages? Maybe?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It didn't have to be what it was.
It'd better have a bloody good reason.
And it wasn't a good reason as it turned out.
But then again, you don't have to listen to us because she's only got the #1 book.
Do you know what I mean?
On Goodreads
Like,
with
we've got
there's-
the #1
there's
anything.
82,000 people who thought that
Jesus
book
Christ.
was excellent.
Listen,
and
we got-
that's just on Goodreads actually.
Exactly. We're the #1 bullshitters. So
We clearly don't know anything.
you definitely don't have to listen to us. But again, you're on this show because you couldn't be able to read a book.
I was
We
reading
could.
reviews, and a lot of people said, "Oh, they love the writing style and this, that, and the other." I didn't find anything remarkable about it. I mean,
Nothing
there was
remarkable.
maybe 1 or 2 ideas that I thought was good, so I'm going to tell you now. Louise said to her brother, "Don't ever lie to me. I'm on your side. I'm not mum." And when we say these statements that are seemingly self-explanatory statements are always full of indoctrination.
Of course.
We as people who have parents, I mean, we're not children. I don't know what to call us. We as people who have parents. We actually do all believe that parents are not always on our team. It's almost like siblings are friends, but parents are the enemy. Surely we have to be stupid for thinking that.
We have to be...
Is there some truth to it? Or
There's some truth to it. There's some truth to it, which is the most cop-out way of saying... It's the most cop-out way of saying that's a Joseph answer, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
It's a Joseph answer, but it is true.
But
there is some truth to it.
Our parents have to be on our side, surely, because they have got one job, and that's to bring us up till
100%.
18.
They're the only reason we're here.
But why does it feel like so many parents are against us? And
they're against us because, like, when we're growing up as humans, we do things that are not necessarily in our interests.
But I'm not talking about child. I'm talking about, like, let's say 12 to 18. It feels like they are against us.
That's what it most feels like they're against us as well. That's what it actually feels like. We have to fight for survival.
Are we actually all doing silly things, or are we just doing...
12 to 18 is when you're going to do most of your silly things.
It's when you're supposed to do your silly things.
That's when you have room to do your silly things.
Some of us are still doing it.
But
I said Barbara's the most interesting character, and I'm finally invested into her story. We are well over halfway into the book, and there's only 4 hours left. So I can't even remember why I thought I was into the story. I think it was... I don't know. I think I was invested to see what happened to her, because there was a part where she was in the wood and she cut her leg, or I don't know if it was on purpose or accident, or... I wanted to figure out what
everything
happened.
I read about Barbara was ruined by the ending. Every single thing I read about Barbara,
I still don't really
I've
understand
deleted.
the ending. She ran away.
I've deleted every single... As soon as I found out what happened to her, I deleted every single thing.
She, with the help of the leader of the camp, one of the leaders...
TJ?
Yeah, TJ. She ran away.
That's pretty much what it was.
So you got an adult helping a 15-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl.
She's 13.
Run away.
She was 13.
She's 13, helping a 13-year-old girl run away and live out in the woods. That's what...
This whole book was about how women don't take accountability, in my opinion. So you're telling me Louise went to get drunk, Camper went missing, she didn't take accountability, you know. Annabelle, a female, got drunk, didn't take accountability, you know. Alice kills her own child, doesn't take accountability, you know. TJ, you know, helps a 30-year-old girl run away, doesn't take accountability. Yeah. None of these women got punished for a single thing. A single thing, you know.
Yeah.
So Barbara didn't even bloody get kidnapped. The whole sales pitch for this book was utter smoke and mirrors. She ran away because she didn't like her mother, basically. I checked the reviews for this book, and as expected, all glowing praise. What confuses me is how more readers don't have an issue with being sold one product and receiving a totally different product. From a customer satisfaction perspective, that's a huge no-no, but it seems to work so well in literature. The blurb of The Housemaid, by Frida McFadden, is... One day, I tried on one of Nina's dresses and it all went downhill from there. And you read it and it's like, that has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
I guess people just forget and get wrapped up in the story. But, like, I read one thing, and again, I didn't read the blurb before going through this story, but when I read the blurb after reading the story, I was like, this had nothing to do with the story. The hell? Like, it's supposed to be about how Barbara got murdered in the woods, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like, she didn't get kidnapped, she didn't get murdered.
Joseph, the story had potential. If they had used the serial killer as they supposed to have done, it had some
They called him
potential.
Jacob Slitter for no reason.
So, we've had one decent scene in the whole bloody book. The Jacob and Dixie scene. I don't know why I put it down as Dixie. I think it might be Judita. I don't know.
No,
Is
it's
it
Judita. I mean, again, I was
police
reading
officer
it.
woman.
Yeah, the investigator. Yeah, I was reading it.
The interrogation scene. I don't know, what did I say? But yeah, the interrogation scene was done very well, even if it was a bit cliche. We had the megalomaniac, sadistic mass murderer, Jacob, say, I know where the body is, but I'll only speak to that one female officer, you know, stereotypical stuff.
Of course.
Then we had the female officer, Judita, boss, give her a briefing before she went into the interrogation room. You know, the don't let him manipulate you spiel. You know, we've all seen this and done it, so nothing original.
Thousands of times.
But the back and forth mind game sort of thing between the officer and Jacob I enjoyed, and it was character building. But can you imagine 14 hours worth of book and only one scene that was good? That's another thing. The book was needlessly too long. But yeah, we spoke about that.
We did speak
But yeah,
about
that's me. That's my notes. But it's just like, I don't understand. I need somebody to go in the comments and tell us what it was, why this book was so special. Because, or some other people to tell us that we're absolutely right. Because I periodically check our we used to live here book review, and there's comments of people saying, yeah, you know, I'd never come across a review from people who didn't like the book. I thought I was the only one, sort of thing. So I honestly think I'm the only one. But if I were to give this a star rating, if I couldn't even, I want to give it 0. I wouldn't even give it 1. It doesn't even deserve 1. I couldn't tell you a handful of things I like.
What would you give the mother son? I mean, obviously, this is a moot
Well,
question.
I gave that 1.
It's a moot question because it was so long ago. And obviously, you would have forgotten stuff.
There was at least, remember, in The Mother Son, there was some funny bits in there.
Oh, yeah, Coca-Cola.
Yeah. I did.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, see? You remember that. If I was to
Fair
tell
enough.
you, what did you like about this book? Honestly. Like, I'm not trying to bait you into saying it was rubbish, but I couldn't tell you. There was potential with the serial killer, but we didn't get nothing. I liked that scene that I said, but I couldn't tell you many things that I liked for it to even warrant 1 star.
I don't remember. I'm going to be real.
So, yeah.
I've got 1 note left as well, and I still don't remember. I've got more notes than you. Like, even me, I don't remember.
Yeah.
So, the big plot twist. Probably the best part of the story, in my opinion. Bear wasn't murdered or kidnapped. He drowned in a boating accident because his mother, Alice, was drunk, basically. Another reason why people shouldn't drink. The Van Laar family covered it up to protect their name and image, and decades later, Alice wasn't prosecuted for manslaughter because the statute of limitations ran out. But her husband and father-in-law, both Peters, were charged with conspiracy to obstruct the course of justice, which is a piss take, in my opinion. The only person who was actually at fault is the one who didn't bloody go to prison. Is insane. But there was a theme with this author, Liz Moore, and, you know, women basically fucking up in this story and, like, nothing happening to them.
Yeah.
And, like, not taking accountability or not taking responsibility for these things.
Quite
but
realistic, then.
it is incredibly realistic. It's probably why I'd give her a 1. See, we got there in the end. She gets a 1 out of 5 for that. Honestly, I really didn't enjoy this book at all. I thought I was going to love it as well. When you sent it to me and I saw it in the WhatsApp and I saw God of the Woods, remember what I was saying? I thought it was going to be... I literally started like, I honestly thought I was going to love it. I thought it was going to be... I thought I was going to love it like the fiction fantasy books we normally read.
Like I like food. But yeah, and on that note, and alcohol, yeah, and on that note, you know,
time to finish our quote of the day.
Oh, do you have one?
Quote of the day: the only 2 things are infinite are the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. That was actually Albert Einstein.
Yeah, I've heard that one before.
Have you?
Yeah, of course I have, because it wasn't original. Till next time.
Till next time.